So whenever I do these titles, I often wonder, do women say, why is all this coaching for women and why aren't men doing work to improve themselves? In addition, maybe these titles might seem a little clickbaity, and what I mean to say, they're designed to entice you to click. My hope is that if you watch my channel on a regular basis, you know I'm a little bit different than most of the dating and relationship coaches out there, because what I like to encourage is something beyond dating and relationship advice. And what I mean to say is that specific strategic advice to, text a guy this or message a guy that so he comes back to you, or do this to make him fall madly in love with you. I'm here to encourage something a little bit different. Quite frankly, not different, what I believe is necessary, and that is personal development, self-help, and spiritual work. Because quite frankly, the most attractive trait to any human being is actually emotional maturity. And while in a minute I'll go into the 5 traits we're going to talk about with respect to this video, I want to lean into emotional maturity for a second, because the reality is I think human beings are quite delusional. Let me repeat that. Human beings are quite delusional. And what I mean to say is delusional isn't quite a fair statement. They're oblivious or unconscious to their negative patterns and limiting beliefs in their life that cause them to have unhappy experiences, particularly when it comes to dating, mating, and relating. Most dating advice is based on attraction, and all you have to do as a lady is sit back in your feminine energy and let that guy claim you, because that's all you need to do. Well, in my world, that's bogus. That's bupkis, if you will. Because in my world, if you really want to attract an amazing relationship, well, it starts by really attracting the amazing relationship within yourself. And what I mean to say is develop the skills that actually prepare you to be in a relationship. Those skills are good communication skills. And one of the most important facets of good communication skills is being able to actively listen, acknowledge what another person says, and then accept what that person says is being true for them. Now, here's the thing. I know a lot of women that say communication is the most important thing in a relationship. And yet women can be equally bad at communicating. Ladies, I'll be candid with you. Many of you have a propensity to vomit your feelings, vomit emotions, vomit things. And also, you have a habit of saying in 10,000 words what men might say in 50 or 60 words. Now, women have a propensity to tell us the entire backstory. So you're not off the hook when it comes to emotional maturity and relationship skills, because I think this is a human issue. In fact, everything I'm sharing here has nothing to do with gender. Even the 5 traits that make a man or woman attracted to you is a human thing and not a gender thing. In fact, that's one of the challenges we have with dating, is so much dating advice, the rhetoric is based on gender-based advice and not human-based advice. This is why I am such a big proponent of human beings understanding where their negative patterns and limiting beliefs stem from in their life. This is why I continually recommend the book, The Hoffman Process. This is a deep dive into healing your childhood wounds and traumas. By the way, there's a link below in the description of all the books I recommend. If you want to schedule a discovery call with me, you click on the link right there, or at least in the description, to see if working with a coach is right for you. Because I'm here to encourage something different than traditional dating and relationship advice. I'm here to encourage individual empowerment, particularly for women. Because ladies, you have a habit of giving your power away to men. In many cases, it's not so much for the younger generation. I think the 20 or 30-year-old generation of women are operating from a completely different paradigm from those of us that are part of the baby boom or Gen X period. And certainly if you're in my range of clientele, which, as I say, is after baby making years and before retirement. So most of my clients are somewhere between 42 and 69. I can tell you, many of you have adopted the I don't want to say the belief, the experience of, I need you to love me so I can feel good about myself. We are suckling on the nipple of the need for so much validation that it's constant validation, partially because of these devices, the need for constant validation, constant checking in. And by the way, ladies, men are terrible at this. You've witnessed this over and over and over again. I think now some guys are also habitual texters, so let's not get into that. Or maybe we could get into that. But what I will say is men and women are thirsty for validation, because the reality is most men and women at midlife, they want companionship. They want connection. They want physical intimacy. What they're lacking is that capacity to go deeper into commitment. That's right, deeper into commitment. What I mean to say is the need for commitment these days is diminished from where it was 50 or 60 years ago. In fact, today, I would venture to say that the vast majority of people who are non-married, who are in a relationship, I'd say the vast majority are experiencing a casual relationship. In fact, many of them might be experiencing a friends with benefits relationship. They might be experiencing a casual relationship. And very few, I would say the percentage is rather small, that's experiencing a more fully committed relationship, at least one where maybe they're living together, like what I'm experiencing right now. At least that's, when you commingle your money together, that's pretty serious, okay? So it might be a step away from marriage when you live together, but certainly when you commingle your money together, that's certainly a route to commitment. And yet, sadly today, most human beings are cavalierly dating. It's all based on chemistry and attraction. If you're not familiar with my relationship iceberg chart, I'll show it here. Most people focus on attraction, which is chemistry. What they don't truly contemplate, is compatibility. And that shared values, blendable lifestyles, and I kept saying in the beginning, emotional maturity. A lot of times, men tend to focus on the surface areas. They tend to focus on physical attraction as their precursor to a relationship. And women tend to focus on status and the ability to be a provider, protector, more so than men. Men aren't as concerned about that as women are. I'm just saying generally speaking. So why is all this information important? Because I think it's important to understand that what's the purpose of dating? Is it just to have a good time? I just want to have a good time. Let's have a good time. Let's focus on having a good time. In fact, many of you are thinking in the short run, well, I'm happy to see someone only once or twice a week, but at what point are you going to think beyond that? Like in my mind, I reverse engineer a relationship. I think of where do I want it to be and how do I get there? Think about that. Where do I want it to be and how do I get there? It's funny. My girlfriend, I gotta say something. I love this woman. She has such amazing, what we traditionally call male qualities. And what I mean to say is she can put together a table. She practically put together the table behind me. She has a little pink tool belt and all the electric screwdriver and stuff. And she was putting together a table today. And I was helping her for the physical aspects of it. Why I'm sharing this with you is she was looking at the instructions that didn't make sense. So she went to the photograph to get a visualization of what it's supposed to look like. And then she went to the instruction manual. Well, this is what I continually and habitually encourage everyone is understand the owner's manual. This is why I recommend these two books habitually. This is from the Gottmans. All my books are falling down. 8 Dates by Drs. John and Julie Gottman. And the 7 Principles to a Successful Marriage, Making a Marriage Work. Why? Because this gives you a roadmap into what a successful relationship would look like at the end run instead of focusing on the beginning, because many of you are focusing on the beginning, but a guy is going in this direction and you're going in this direction. You're wondering why you're not meeting in the middle. But Jonathan, love will conquer all, because if we love each other, it will all work out. Folks, love for many of you is magic fairy dust. In fact, for many of you, love isn't real love. And I just dropped my book, Attached by Amir Levine and Rachel Heller. Love is actually love attachment style. Many of you are experiencing attachment to another human being that you believe is love when it's just really a unconscious, involuntary attachment to another human being. In fact, if you follow the work of the Buddha, Buddhist philosophy, it says all suffering comes, at least this is my paraphrase of it, all suffering comes from an attachment to an outcome. All suffering comes, and that's what dating a relationship is. Now let me be clear about something. It's okay to see the framework in the future, what you'd like it to look like, and it's never going to look like the picture. Just like when I built model airplanes. My model airplanes never looked like the picture, but it was close. At least have a vision of what that looks like, and then figure out how to, let me backtrack that, figure out how to reverse engineer it. This is why these books help you understand the mechanics to a healthy, happy relationship. And that's why I habitually talk about it. Folks, you can bury your hand in the sand believing that, again, a guy will claim you if you just sit in your feminine energy and you're in your empowerment and believe, where's the book? Oh, I dropped the book. I dropped my book, Why Men Love Bitches, because I do love that book from the empowerment sense, and bitch stands for babe in total control of herself. And what I mean to say is, listen, this title was geared for women to click, okay? And in a second, I'll share those traits. But most importantly, this is a human thing, not an individual thing. Ladies, when you operate from a place of empowerment, you become a magnetic attractor for the type of relationship you want. My hope is for you for that. God, universe, spirit, I am experiencing a juicy, delicious relationship where we have amazing chemistry with one another, and our communication is off the charts, and our banter can go on for hours and hours at a time. And we can blend lives together, and we share the same values, and we can build the deep roots of trust that can sustain our relationship when we're struggling. Because all relationships are going to have all relationships have bumps in the road, and I'm grateful to be experiencing a relationship where we actually can persevere when we hit those bumps in the road. God, universe, spirit, I'm experiencing this now. I want you to think about it from the end in mind, and then reverse engineer it. So these traits I'm about to share with you gives you some insight. Again, this isn't singular to women. This is men should be operating in the same climate as well. So I'm put on my trusty glasses. I wonder if the sun has set yet. Hold on one second. I'm going to open up my blinds if I can reach it. And the sun has set, so now you can see the view that way. All right. How's the view, by the way? Is it nice? How do you like the look of my office? All right, let's get into those 5 traits men value in women. These turn him on, and these will turn you on as well. Here's my notes. Bum, bum, bum. All right. So number 1, I actually added 2 traits into one. I said she's consistent and kind-hearted. She's consistent and kind-hearted. You know, I got to tell you something. What I've observed in the dating realm, and one of the things I so appreciate about my beloved, is that she's consistent. In other words, she's not flaky. She's not changing plans. There's not always problems. She's very consistent. And in that consistency, there's a level of kindness. There's a level of kind-heartedness. And I'm so grateful to be experiencing a relationship with someone who can operate from a consistent, kind-hearted way. And I will tell you, a lot of you women think you are, but you can be ridiculous. Listen, consistency starts from the very first communication, right from the very first communication. Many of you think you're consistent, but because they're a total stranger, you might treat them with a bit of ambivalence or treat them as a maybe, and men do this as well. And then guess what happens? People lose interest. Consistency and kind-heartedness from the very first communication is a trait that emotionally mature men appreciate in women. And everything I'm about to share is about emotionally mature people. If you're not familiar with my emotional maturity relationship skills chart, Now, this is not a fact, this is an opinion, but I will tell you, I believe roughly 20% of the population has clinical issues. Clinical issues. And while I say 20% of the and this is relationship skills, and this is men and women alike, while I say 20% are healthy, I'm probably being very generous, the vast majority of humans are dysfunctional. This is where the inconsistency comes. By the way, I'm going to be blunt. I had a woman say on one of my videos, said, you know, Jonathan, after watching your videos, I don't have very much hope. It's very discouraging. I go, yeah, I get that. By the way, statistically speaking, you've got a less than 20% chance at midlife of attracting a great relationship. I'm going to say the odds are against you. My job as a coach, right there is a link to schedule a call with me. My job is to put those odds in your favor. I'm going to help you become, instead of looking for the needle in the haystack, I'm going to help you become the pincushion. In other words, all those good needles are coming to you. But you have to be willing to do the inner work first. And by the way, not all men have to do personal development work. Not all women have to. But I will tell you this, the capacity to be introspective is a necessity whether you've done personal development work or not. In fact, I just noticed that Match.com now offers, I think it's called BetterHelpOnline.com. In other words, they're offering therapy as part of their package when you sign up with them. I'm a big proponent of people to doing that some level of personal development, self-help, and spiritual work. This is why I continually recommend therapy. I recommend my book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? That journey of personal development, self-help, and spiritual work. By the way, the link's below. All right, let's get into these traits some more. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating? Please let me know. Please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel. Number 2. She's willing to make effort. She's a doer, not a taker or a waiter. I don't mean waiter as in your server at a restaurant. What I mean is a person that's waiting for men to do everything. Folks, again, I'm going to talk about my beloved for a moment. And that is, what I appreciate is right from the very beginning, she didn't play the feminine energy games with me or the book, The Rules. You know, right off the bat, when I sent a text message, the next time she initiated the text message. In fact, in the beginning of our relationship, she initiated most of the good morning text messages, partially because we're in a 2-hour time difference. But she would send me a good morning, handsome text. She was initiating the text message. But Jonathan, all the feminine energy coaches tell me not to do that. You're not supposed to be an initiator. You're not supposed to make effort. You're supposed to let the man do all the work. Folks, if you're dating in midlife, you better understand something. Men want effort from you just as much as you want effort from them, okay? And men who are a bit more mature appreciate that effort more so than the men that are in their 20s and 30s. So I'm here to encourage. By the way, there are a lot of women who are takers. I got to tell you something. Dating for myself was with women. I noticed a lot of women who are takers. And in other words, entitled women. And the waiters are the ones that are listening to the feminine energy advice, just sitting back in your feminine doing nothing. You're just waiting for the guy. Listen, if you went out on a date with a guy, let's say, for example, and you had a great date and he said, I'll give you a call, and you don't hear from him. Well, all the coaches would say, wait, he'll claim you if he really liked you. Well, sometimes men want you to text and say, I had a really, 2 days later, I had a really great time. Hey, I'd like to show my appreciation for you treating for the drink. Can I take you out for a drink? Now, is that going to work? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But if he declines it, you can move on much quicker, at least by making effort. You're putting your relationship destiny in your hands, the Allstate hands, instead of his hands. And by the way, all of you love the idea of men being the leaders of the relationship, right? Well, I'm telling you, you're giving the job to the wrong person. You are in charge of your relationship destiny. All right. Number 3. I love this one. She's ambitious. Ambition. Someone who has ambition in life, someone who has a drive, whether it's their professional life, whether it's their passion, and maybe in a creative sense, maybe it's artistic, maybe just that level of passion and ambition is incredibly attractive. But Jonathan, some men are turned off by those types of women. Folks, let me be clear with you. Weak men and controlling men are turned off by ambition. Weak men and controlling men. Emotionally mature men love women who have passion and ambition in their life. That is a sexy turn on. That is a trait men truly appreciate in women. Number 4, she has sense. And what I mean is common sense and a sense of humor. I'm mixing in a few extra in these 5. Common sense and humor. Folks, men can't stand women who don't have common sense. Ladies, tell me something. How do you feel about a guy who doesn't have common sense? It's kind of a turnoff. And then let's talk about humor. One thing I love about my beloved is she and our little kids play together. It's fascinating to me. Our little kids play together. And this is where our humorous side comes out. It's like our whiny kids come out. But we identified that's our little kid coming out. And what the benefit of that is, this is where we laugh and play together. For her and I, what I think makes our relationship juicy and delicious is that our little kids play together. And humor and common sense, if you will, is a key trait that turns a guy on. And lastly, and they value that. Lastly, she is agreeable. Listen, agreeable isn't the same as doormat. Okay, many of you think, and agreeable, I would say, women these days are oftentimes just as controlling as men. And what I appreciate most in my partner is that level of ease. Like when I say we'd like to do something, she's like, that sounds cool. It's not like fighting. I don't know if that's female masculine energy. I think that's just controlling behavior. But I'll tell you, the best relationships are where two people are agreeable with one another, because through agreement, you can actually forge the deeper roots of trust needed to go deeper into your relationship. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating with you? Please let me know. Okay, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. Please post a comment below. I'd like to hear your thoughts on these 5 traits I just shared of what men value in women.